Here we are, we're back. Welcome back. It's 26 minutes past 7, and we've already got ourselves off to a flying start with Richard Tice there from before, who said literally anything can happen in the next 24 hours. We've now got yet another sage to talk to, Mr. Kelvin MacKenzie. Kelvin, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
So
very enjoyable to be here.
I mean, for heaven's sake, yesterday, you didn't stay away from the sort of the phone for more than 5 minutes in case something else happened. It was an incredible sort of roller coaster ride. Starmer appears to have kind of managed to get through the day simply by hiding for most of it. Is he going to do the same today?
Well, the problem is that he can't, even prior to the fact that although he has, now this was a very good point, and I don't say this very often, a BBC presenter on the Today programme yesterday morning was cross-questioning somebody from Labour and said, Starmer has a 17-year-old daughter. Why would a man who had a 17-year-old daughter and also a mum, i.e. his wife, who is in the NHS, apart from many things, why on earth would they believe it would be a good idea to actually hire somebody who's had a friendship, whether it was a loose one or a major one, with a convicted paedophile who was effectively convicted for abusing a 14-year-old girl, let alone the Miss Guthrie episode when she was 17. So he took it into another area. And do you know what I disliked last night? So I was watching last night Newsnight, which turns out to be...
You were one of the 5 people watching it.
No, actually, it's got like 800,000 now. And the reason for that is that they have stopped trying to stop conservative views being aired. Really? Fantastic. How original. Anyway, the point that emerged in all that was that she started interviewing the Environment Secretary, a woman, right, who was literally batting it all away. And I wondered about that lady. Was she, has she got children? And if she hadn't, had some of her colleagues. This is a change of direction. It's convicted paedophile, not a bank robber, not a fraudster, not somebody who bashed somebody over the head, right? It was quite clear what this man was doing. And so the fact that Mandelson was actually trying to organise, because remember all this happened in 2009, 2010, he knew that Labour were going to be defeated. So he was looking for a springboard for a financial world and an influence world once he was no longer a man of influence himself. No, I think Starmer's made a serious political error. After all, even one of his own Scottish ministers said, actually, this is a risk. Okay? So on saying that, everybody accepted it was a risk, right? And the risk didn't work. When a risk doesn't work, I'm afraid you have to pay the price. If you're a prime minister, look, you're in business, you're chief executive, you make a bet on something, it doesn't work. What happens? Bang, you're gone.
I saw an interesting piece in the Times today, and I probably won't be able to find it as we speak, but it's about a company called Palantir. And I don't know how much you know about that, but Palantir is a massive multinational company, right? Which has just signed a new deal with the Department of Defence in this country for billions and billions and billions of pounds.
And they had a party with the MOD.
And they had a party with the Ministry of Defence. Guess who has been involved with his company in making that deal happen? Peter Mandelson. Right, because he's been involved with that, that sort of group. These guys, here it is, here. So Lord Mandelson held shares in Global Counsel, the lobbying firm hired by Palantir, when his embassy helped to organise a visit by the Prime Minister to its showroom in Washington last year. Show me the money is what they say, right? Follow the money, and you see where all these people are doing these things for.
Well, it's no surprise then, and this might be one for your viewers to try and work out. How is it that a run-of-the-mill, clapped-out politician for many, many decades has ended up living in a £12 million house right adjacent to Regent's Park? Regent's Park / some parts of Notting Hill are the premier housing hotspots of our country. Where did he get 12 million quid
Interesting
from?
that you asked that question, because when I was watching the police going into the House on, I guess, was it Friday afternoon? It was mentioned in passing and then not revisited that there was a conversation that went on in 2010 between Epstein and Mandelson about possibly buying a pied-à-terre in London. And I'm wondering whether Epstein gave him the money to buy it or just bought it for him. And very possibly, somebody would find that out and possibly look into it, because nobody's mentioned it since. And I wonder, because you're right, Mandelson at the peak of his powers is not making more than about £500,000 a year, maybe £250,000 a year. How are you buying a £12 million house?
Yes, I totally agree. I totally get that. But there'll be loads of stuff, and that's why, whether it's today, tomorrow, or sometime after May the 6th, I'm afraid Starmer is not in control of whether he is going to be in number 10 or not. Something will emerge. And with the kind of feeling there is out there, those guys all voting for Starmer right now is because actually they're unsure about whether any of them would who in their right mind would hire Lammy?
I know.
It doesn't matter who the leader is. You've got to call him in and say, honestly, David, love you madly. We're just going to have to see how we get on without you.
Yeah.
And it's going to be tough. And I realise that there will be a mass uprising by the voters of this country, but you've had to go.
Yeah, the people who told them won't stand for it, right?
Yeah, that's right. They're going to be up there. But I tell you what they could do. If they really wanted to kill Tottenham stone dead, they make Lammy their manager.
Yeah.
Actually, funnily enough, the way things are going under Thomas Frank, he might actually do slightly better.
What about the whole problem with the government, though, and the cabinet? Because once all these messages come out, we saw Wes Streeting. We played a little clip earlier of him with his kisses to Mandelson and all the rest of it. Once all of these messages,
blokes do give kisses. I've got a friend of mine, a guy called Richard Glynn, who's the former CEO at Ladbrokes. He always signs off me with a kiss.
Yeah.
I wonder whether I'm out of...
You're outing him.
Well, he's possibly outing me. No, so I just...
No, I get that. But the difference being that you're not somebody who is in receipt of huge amounts of money from a convicted paedophile. So once again, we go back to that same horrible kind of nasty, ghastly story where you're dealing with a man who's more slippery than a snake and a snake oil salesman, and you as a politician are kind of sucking up to him, if you like. That's what Wes Streeting appears to be doing.
Well, they're both gay. Perhaps there is a genuine romance or affection between them.
Could be.
And
he looked very uncomfortable when Beth Rigby was reading those messages to him.
It's the first time. The reason he was uncomfortable is not because they were anodyne. He was uncomfortable because there was clearly going to be yet to be discovered.
Yes.
A WhatsApp message or text message of some kind of a different variety, and he was waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Very possibly so. But that's the other thing. Once all of these messages come out, let's not forget, Starmer was trying to stop it last week. He didn't want this to happen.
Yep.
It is now happening. It's going to take a while. It's going to take weeks. It's going to be a very slow burn. But almost every single member of the cabinet is going to have something that they're going to be ashamed of, right? Something that they've said to Mandelson that they shouldn't have said.
Yes, and the very nature of politics is not to just let something go.
Right.
So instead of directly you see Mandelson's name saying, "I tell you what, this looks rather dodgy to me," he or she, on receiving that email, that text, is unsure about whether Mandelson still has sway or not.
Yes.
And therefore scared to text back saying, "Please don't contact me, you rotten sod." Right? You have to say, "Oh, how are you?" and all the rest of it. So I feel I don't feel sorry for them, but something will emerge in all this.
It will,
and it is quite natural that it should emerge. And why Starmer wants to fight on, I don't know.
No,
because he is personally unpopular. I thought that Richard there was being quite careful about how he thought Gorton and Denton would go. And he is making a very good point, as we all do, is 30% of Gorton and Denton is Muslim.
Yeah.
I would say with the current Labour implosion, the Greens will skate home,
Yeah.
actually, where Labour, actually some of Labour will go to reform,
Yeah.
but actually I think the majority will go to Green as giving some of that towards Starmer.
And the ethnic vote will go to Green, won't it?
Ethnic vote, so Muslim vote goes to Green, other minorities go to Green, some of Labour goes to Green, and it's going to be... Now, what does he say then? Because I don't know how Burnham would have done. I suspect Burnham now believes he was actually saved.
Well, do you know what? I said that on the day. Burnham's probably, heaving a huge sigh of relief that he's been blocked, because he looks good, he looks virtuous, he looks like he wanted to stand, and they've stopped me. But if he'd lost, he would have had no job.
No, he would definitely have lost.
Yeah, he would have had no job as a mayor and no job as an MP.
Yeah, right. So actually, strangely enough, Starmer made another huge error.
Yeah.
What he should have done is said, yes, this is a broad church.
Right.
All God's people are welcome in my church.
Yeah.
Had he done that, he would have killed Burnham stone dead.
Of course he would. But like all weak leaders, I mean, you, for decades, worked in the media. If you had somebody working for you in a newspaper who fancied their chances at taking your job, you'd give them something to do.
Can I just stop you there? Right. Can I just stop you there? Right, can I just stop you there? First of all, nobody would want that job. Old bloody Gorilla Biscuits on the phone every day. How are you? Actually, if he asks how are you, he has no interest in the response.
He's talking about Rupert Murdoch now. Yeah.
So if he says, how are you? Right? If you say, well, it's funny you should ask that because I've lost both my legs in a car crash, and I've had the neurosurgeon onto me, and they have discovered actually something. Yeah, and my rear end. Yeah, I've had a good. The whole lot has imploded, and you then spend 5 minutes explaining that your wife died and the children are all suffering from some terrible disease. There is no follow up to that. He just says, yeah, well, let's just talk about today's paper, shall we? Yeah. So there is nobody on God's earth who has less interest in somebody else's.
Right.
Somebody else. On one occasion, I had pneumonia, and for various parts of the northwest, obviously that was actually a good thing. But anyway, and I came back, and he said, "I hear you had pneumonia." Right. And it basically indicated they'd be very grateful if I didn't have any more of that pneumonia. There was work to be done.
Yes. It is an extraordinary business for that. But what my point was going to be, basically, look, if you're running something and somebody kind of wants to challenge you and take on your kind of authority, you give them something to do that you know they can't do. Like you say, he should have said to Andy Burnham, yeah, absolutely, go for it, mate.
What a disaster. That would have blown Burnham.
Yeah.
So Burnham
would have been finished.
Yeah, totally destroyed.
Yeah.
He's now sitting there going, thank God for that.
And he's waiting now, presumably, because if Starmer, inevitably when Starmer does go, he'll start getting on manoeuvres again.
So the next person who stands against him, against Starmer, will say the following. I will welcome Andy Burnham into the fold.
Yeah.
We will get the Labour NEC to reconvene.
Yeah.
And we will have a different bloody view, won't we? And that's what will happen.
Yeah. And will that person be Angela Rayner, maybe?
I'm sure they will just bring everybody in. If they thought they could garner extra votes from anywhere. I mean, one of the things that I do find about the coverage of the Starmer issue is that the major networks, the BBC, ITV, whatever. I used to say Sky, but GB News actually stuff the living daylights.
They do.
Sky.
Do you know what? I watch GB News now on a regular basis. I never put Sky on. I just don't bother.
Well, I don't know why Sky bother, because the audience now is down at 70 or 75,000.
Right.
It's costing them 50
We do more than that.
50 or 60. Yeah, indeed you do. So it's costing you 50, and this is being done on the basis of Pooch making the coffees, running the desk, answering the door, right, and looking a lot older than his years, actually.
There's no David Rhodes here,
Right. So all
Can't afford him.
All roads lead to bankruptcy
There you
at
go.
Sky, but they're losing 60 million a year. Have done literally for 30 or 40 years now. So why do they bother with it? And the only reason they're bothering is that Murdoch gave them a dowry when he left. Right. That dowry runs out in 2 years. Sky is going bust.
And that'll be when Comcast go, cheerio, thanks very much indeed.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
See you later.
No, actually, it's been a painful pleasure.
Yeah.
So they're doing their best to survive.
Yeah.
And they're hobbled by a crap news outlet. But however, going back to your point, I've never seen Wes Streeting look so uncomfortable.
No.
He obviously knows there is something going on up there, right, which is saying to him, "Where's my old son? The game is over."
Yeah.
And I think the game's over anyway, because if there ever was a Blair view of the world, right, that's come to an end. It's now going to be quite a left-wing party for the next 3 years. I feel sorry for our nation because we think that it's been bad for the last 18 months, 2 years. Honestly, the next 3 years are going to be bloody awful.
Right.
Taxes will go up. The feeling of the country, you can't meet anybody who wants to make a go of themselves.
Yeah.
Right? There are a whole load of people who have now decided, actually, I'd be better off, actually, if I don't do anything.
Yes.
Right? At least, the point Richard Tice was making was correct. There's a lot of people coming out of university this May, June, who will be looking for work, for decent work, saying, I've got a decent brain, I've worked reasonably hard. Yeah. What does my life future look like? Yeah. For the first time, there can be no assurance. In my own family, in my wider family, a very bright lady has decided to travel for a year. Yeah. She's tried to get on every single grad scheme. Actually, many of the grad schemes are shutting down, but the grad schemes are literally, because of either AI or stupidity or whatever, they are swamped. They're not bothering to respect. But what is the point of being ambitious and everything? Right. So here's the rub.
And the student loan system is so bad. I was listening to a girl from the Times the other day on Times Radio who said, I took £39,000 out as a loan for my undergraduate degree, another £11,000 for my postgraduate degree. I've been paying it off for 3 years, and now I owe £67,000. Yeah. More money than they borrowed. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Yeah. You know.
Well, it's difficult to say, because if you don't... Right, if you are in America, for instance... Yeah. Remember, education in our country is surprisingly a exportable and desirous kind of industry. It's good for us, right? We have some great universities. Yeah. If we don't support them with money, we end up with all kinds of universities like Metropolitan. Yes. Like Bangor. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if anybody knows anything about Bangor University, do call in or do send a message of some kind. It will turn out to be beyond shocking. Oh, there it is.
Do you know, the last time we saw that one, right, and I said somebody sent a message in Chinese.
Where did that come from?
Apparently it's Japanese. Somebody actually said it's actually Japanese.
Well, how do they know? Have you got Japanese people watching you?
We must have.
Is that a new people?
There are people in Japan watching this as we speak.
That is rubbish. They're not.
That is not rubbish. We've got
You're making it up.
No, absolutely true. Absolutely true. If I've ever been known to tell you a lie in my life,
well, you have been in media all your life.
I once took my two young boys, as they were then, they're now both grown up, and their mother to a party at your house.
Oh, did you?
It was a very nice summer party in that nice part of the world where you live. And his first words to my former partner and mother of my children was, "This man is the greatest liar I've ever met." She thought it was great. Well, she agreed with you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, she turned out to be right, didn't she?
Absolutely shocking. I'll tell you what we've got to talk about, though.
Go on.
This story on the front page of the Sun. Yeah. If we weren't in the middle of a constitutional crisis, this is an extraordinary story as well. The King basically saying, we're going to help the police to prosecute my brother.
Well, yes.
Incredible.
I mean, and what's great news is that Andrew Lowney, who wrote the book that basically brought down Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, as he now known as, I wonder whether they should reduce his name. I wonder whether we should just call him Andrew Windsor.
Well, I was going to say take the Windsor off because he's now moved.
Okay.
He's not in Windsor anymore. He's in
Okay,
Sandringham.
well, Andrew Mountbatten Sandringham.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Exactly. And then
just call him after wherever he is.
Then after a while, when he's thrown out, and then he goes to jail. When he comes out, be Andrew Mountbatten Hackney.
Yeah, or Andrew Mountbatten Wormwood Scrubs.
Yeah, exactly. Andrew Mountbatten Pentonville.
Yeah.
Yes, wherever he
is.
Wherever he is. What will be his explanation about being the trade envoy, an important, this round the world, shaking hands, and then at the same time directly gets this confidential information about what we think about this and what we think about that and how this all went, shipping it straight on to Epstein.
He barely read it, right? Within 4 minutes, he sent it on to Epstein.
Well, he won't have read it. He won't have read it. He'd be too busy trying to organise, some other
Or
aspect.
take his trousers off or something.
Yes, I should imagine he will.
But this is an incredible story, though.
Yeah.
The King coming out publicly, Buckingham Palace coming out publicly.
Yeah.
William yesterday already kind of threw his brother, his uncle under the bus.
Have to be a fairly large bus.
It would have to be a very large bus. I mean, Andrew's got to be finished as well, hasn't he? In terms of any kind of life that he can possibly have now.
Right. Well, the reason I don't know. Have you ever been to the Sandringham area of Norfolk?
Not really, no.
Right. It's basically the land that time forgot. It is. You expect to see dinosaurs start making.
It's a lot safer now that Prince Philip's not driving around running people over in the old Land Rover. Turn left.
No, but the reason he's on there is to stop people getting at Andrew.
Right.
Right. So you can't find this place. Right. So there is a castle, bags of security. So if people feel very angry towards what he's done, they can't actually find him anymore. Whereas at Windsor, they could easily have found him.
Right.
And I just wonder whether depending on as the scandal grows, whether in inverse proportion the houses get smaller.
Yes.
Right. So eventually he ends up living in a one bedroom.
Back in the doghouse. I mean, literally the doghouse, right?
He said to me. Except he'd probably enjoy having a chain put round his neck.
He probably would.
And taken for a walk by a lady.
But I'll tell you what's come out that's even been worse than him is his ex-wife, Fergie. The idea that she was sort of, messaging Epstein on and off, suggesting women that he might like to basically consult with, possibly marry, possibly, hire as a slave. I mean, just incredible stuff.
Well, so she is, 66 now?
Ghastly woman.
She appears to be skint.
Yeah.
More worrying, I would have thought, for the family, on top of being skint and having to live in Sandringham, is the fact that they've got 2 kids.
Yeah.
Now, the question for those kids is they're supposed to be both working royals, right? That is complete tosh. Right. One of them works for some, I don't know, basically they are front of house
They always
people.
work for sort of auction houses, don't they, these people?
Yeah.
Sotheby's or somewhere.
Look, the question for them is how do they now view their parents?
Yeah.
Because they are sitting there. Their parents haven't sat down and said to them, look, I've got something to tell you. Would you like to just read these emails here? I don't emerge too well out of them. I want you to know that's only half the story. There's plenty more coming where that came from. So how do they... So they read news sites. They listen to shows like this. They see the front page of The Sun. What do daughters make of
And
this?
presumably he rings them up from time to time, or wants to see them, or says, "When are you coming over for Sunday lunch?"
And that's why he's moved to Sandringham. He doesn't want them to. Have you ever tried to get there? If you drive from central London to Sandringham, it would take you 3.5 hours.
I once tried to get to a Centre Parks somewhere up there, right? And I had to get about 4 trains from King's Cross, and in the end, I ended up getting a taxi for the final bit of the way. And then they wouldn't let me in because they said, you can't, because I got out of the taxi and started walking. They said, you can't walk in. I said, why not? They said, you've got to be in a car. I said, what do you mean you've got to be in a car? I said, my family were all there already. I hate Centre Parks. This is one of the worst holidays of all time. Bloody awful. But yeah, it's in the middle of sort of nowhere.
Is it near Alton Tower or is it?
No, Alton Towers I think is more like Stoke way. This is definitely sort of East Anglia.
Okay.
But
Are you
like
sure?
Yeah, I had
Actually,
to go. All I know is
if you've got any viewers who actually know geography, could they actually text in?
Well, I had to go to Cambridge, is all I know.
Yeah.
And then it was one of those where you got to the next bit of the journey and you had to get another train. And I got to where the train was, and it was sitting there, and the guy said, sorry, you can't come on the platform. I said, why not? He said, well, the train's leaving in a minute. I said, well, that's fine, I'll just walk on then, can I? No. It's health and safety. You've got to stand behind the barrier and watch the bloody train leave and wait for another hour for the next train.
Well, so you were stranded for an hour in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere.
With your attention deficit disorder, I would have thought that would have led to quite a lot of irritability.
No, it was a lot of irritability. Yeah, absolutely right. Extraordinary times. Let's talk about this, the big story of the day, which we did quiz old Richard Tice on. Yeah. Playing it cool in the dating pool is a bad idea. Journal of... You should edit this. The Journal of Social and Personal Relationships.
Yes, well, I could certainly give them much experience. I've got a PhD in that.
Asked more than 500 people to imagine a pleasant first encounter at a restaurant.
Yeah.
And after that, their companion sent a message either immediately after parting, or the next morning, or 2 days later. Participants were asked to say when is the right time to send a message. So if you've taken somebody out for dinner. And you've parted company, so you haven't spent the night together. When do you send them a message?
Well, I don't think you should send them the message that night.
Really?
Because it's difficult to be exact about these things. I mean, hopefully you'll be lying in bed with them, but when you look like me, that seems highly unlikely.
Leave the lights off.
Yeah. Turn your own light off. Yeah, that would be funny, wouldn't it? Where the woman says, "Look, do you mind? I say, do you mind turning the light on?" And she said, "Well, having had a look at you, I'd rather turn it off." But on that question, I think the following day.
Right.
I think if you left it 2 days, that would be an indication. Honestly,
that's too long, isn't it?
Yeah. 2 days sounds as though. Why don't they send you a text?
Yeah.
Why don't they send you a text saying, I really enjoyed, I hope we can do this again, and all the rest of it? Why does it have to be down the bloke? You don't mind picking up the bill, but actually having to grovel.
But this is the problem with women, though. You never know, do you? Because whatever you do, you're probably going to get it wrong.
That is correct.
You know. Once you've realised that, life becomes a lot easier, in my view.
Right. Well, the thing is that the woman has... they're immeasurably brighter, to start with. And they are not only cleverer, they're more focused, and they are sitting there knowing what blokes.
Just going to have to get somebody else.
Knowing what blokes are like.
Yes.
Right. That's the other thing that they know. Literally from the age of whatever, they have known what the game is.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
And. No, I think if you left it 48 hours, that is basically an indication that you, under no circumstances, do you want to see them again.
Yeah. I mean, the mother of my children, with whom I have quite a complicated relationship, treats me like an idiot.
Oh, well, she knows you.
She does know me. She's known me for many decades. Yeah. And she's kind of... she treats the dog better than me.
Yes,
in a way.
But the dog has been more loyal than you have.
It's true. Also, the dog can learn things which I can't learn. I'll come home. She'll do things like, have you noticed anything different? No. Well, there's a new clock. Oh, is that all right? Okay. I just don't see things.
I know that my wife says my wife has been to the hairdressers.
Yes.
And
you've got to notice that.
Comes in and she says, "Well, what do you think?" I said, "What do I think about what?" And she says that my hair, and of course that's not a big issue for me. So therefore, I try to be loyal, but sometimes it's.
And also, by the time you've noticed it, it's too late then, because you go, "Oh, you've had your hair done," but it's too late.
You've failed the original test.
Yeah.
No, I think there's. I think the easiest answer on, but even worse than that would be is if you actually went home with them.
Yes.
On the first night, and then you didn't bother to text the following day. I think that would be
bad. According to this, those were told that they had received a message the next morning reported the highest intention of pursuing a relationship.
Yeah.
Texting immediately was somewhat less effective.
Yeah.
Waiting 2 days was worst of all.
Yeah. So I think the problem is if you text that night, it begins to make you look like you're a bit, a bit of a barn pot, and
Prince Andrew vibes.
Yes. What is incredible about the Andrew thing, and this is why I'm looking forward to speaking to Lowney.
Yeah.
I think 8:30.
He's coming on later. Yeah.
Yeah. Is why was none of this ever reported at the time? So they must have a very, very good closed unit group within the royal family where nobody calls up a favoured journo and says, "You'll never guess what's happened here."
Well, do you remember when we were told that this Russian girl, supposedly woman, was sent over to see him for some kind of sexual encounter? He takes her into Buckingham Palace. How is that not somehow leaked to the press? That he smuggled in some woman.
Yes. Well, do you smuggle? I mean, I hate to use the expression, but is there some kind of back way into the palace?
Better ask Peter Mandelson.
Now you see, we're starting to go downhill here. It hasn't.
It's nearly time for the news. Don't worry.
I've got a couple of comments, Mike.
Hey.
I've got a couple of comments.
Oh, okay. All right. Are you going to stick him up there? Chiba, there you go. Koran-chan from Chiba in Japan is listening.
Right, well, just tell him to concentrate.
Judas from Texas in the US of A.
Yeah,
well done.
oh, right, good.
South Africa. I mean, it's a global show, this, by the way.
Yes, I know. Well, there's plenty watching around the
Andy's
world.
in Nairobi. Andy's in Nairobi.
I like this one.
I'm watching from the Islamic State of Wales.
Actually, I tell you what, that would have been great. That would have been great if that Welsh lady. I don't know whether you've heard that. Ever heard the Welsh leader of what used to be called the Labour Party? Right. She is the most honestly. They honestly believe that they're running things in Wales. Apart from running the thing into the ground, right? I think what we should have done is give the Hong Kongers, there's 300,000 Hong Kongers, and there's more to come. Actually, they'll be good for our country. We should have given them Wales.
Yeah.
Because we've tried giving it to the locals. That has turned out to be a disaster. Right. We tried giving it to...
Their rugby team's no use either. I saw on Saturday.
Yeah, we've now got a rugby team that seem to think that they're doing curling or something. They're playing a different sport to the side that's playing them.
Right.
Whereas the Hong Kong Chinese are driven by creating wealth. So this is something for our country.
Yeah.
Why don't people say, well, what do you do for a living? He said, I make money.
Right.
I make money. Right? I make money for myself, I make money for the family, and I also make money, actually, for other people I have never met.
Well, you also make money for the country because you pay tax on the money that you make, right?
That's Kelvin MacKenzie, if he wants to...
Oh, right.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah,
I want you to
right.
say
So
that,
we need people to say, I am making money and I'm proud I make money. Actually, the fact is, the spin-off of that is I live in a big house or I drive a big car or my kids do something which other people don't do. Actually, they're also funding an entire infrastructure of our country. And I saw some numbers the other day that showed now, under our beloved Labour, and this is going to get them slung out anyway, even if there was none of this implosion going on right now, is that we now pay for 124,000 asylum seekers, right, benefits of about 12 to 15, on average, 12 to 15,000 a year. Plus 50-odd thousand who are deemed it's too dangerous to send them back because they all claim that they're now Christians when they were Islamists and therefore they're going to be put up against the wall and shot, right? So it's a couple of 100,000 of that. Why don't we actually say the reason that we can fund any of this is because ordinary people and some very wealthy people are creating wealth for themselves and their families. And actually, how people live their lives with big houses, small houses, large cars, small cars, sending their kids to private schools, sending them to state schools. All this is funded to the fact that there is work. In our country right now, under Labour, work now appears to be down the ladder and benefits sitting at home, claiming you've got ADHD, claiming you've got anxiety. We've all got bloody anxiety. Yeah. It's an anxiety which gets us out of bed to earn some money to make life worthwhile for ourselves, our families, and for people, total and complete strangers. We are funding them. That has to change. We must put wealth creation at the top. Everything else will work downwards. Starmer says that he loves our country. Do you know what he loves? He loves taxes. He loves shutting pubs. He loves migrants. He appears to love other socialists. What he hates is people who create wealth. How incredible. How incredible.
I know. Brilliant. Well said. Very well said, that man. And finally, if you wanted to take over Wales, you can begin by buying a rugged retreat of almost 18 acres in the Diwrnod estuary.
Yeah.
350,000 quid for Ynys Giftan.
Where is that?
It's an island off the coast of Wales.
Right. Well, I tell you what. Why don't we put? I tell you what. That would fit. That would fit everybody in Wales that's likely to vote Labour on May the 6th. There won't be many left.
No, exactly right. Kelvin MacKenzie, what a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for coming in. My wife and I have been married 50 years. We go out twice a week for a romantic meal. She goes on Tuesday, I go on Friday. Brilliant. Listen, I don't know what's going on with this show, but it's bloody entertaining is all I know. Kelvin, good to see you. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
We'll see you soon. Coming up, Russell Quirk is here. I mean, the hits just keep on coming. He's going to tell us what's in the papers, stuff we haven't done yet. By the way, the Winter Olympics is my plank of the day today. I'm going to tell you why I hate it, why I think the BBC have wasted a load of